So you didn't you listen to? I told Spencer like I'm really interested in your take on the guy I call Asperger Detective,
right?
And I call him that as a handle. I felt today inclined to iterate that like iterate. That means say. I felt inclined to just say, you know. I call him Asperger Detective because I kind of feel I wouldn't do it if I thought that would offend him. Like if somebody was doing a podcast and it sounded like they had a hair lip and they never mentioned their hair lip, I wouldn't be like hair lip guy. I mean, maybe with Cody or something, I'd go, you want to listen to hair lip guy? But like, I think that the guy is like based on his comments and stuff. I feel like whether he has Asperger's or not, he'd be like, that's kind of cool. Like he'd be like punk rock about it, but it's it's just so I just wanted to say that I don't, I'm not. It's hard these days. I don't want to be hurtful to any real people. I just want people to leave me alone, give me money. I don't need you to come here. I don't need to keep doing this show. It's kind of all momentum at this point, just kind of drifting. Very happy. Just want to take my money. I didn't mean to say steal. I totally earn it. I've earned every penny. My job's very hard. I take it, buy a big house, disappear into the West Wing, and you'll hear like just the sound of a man eating a chocolate sundae. That'll be my equivalent of a single gunshot. Just like
that's the same thing.
A week of chocolate sundae eating.
It's the same thing Stan Lee said.
We did,
and then he died over a Spider-Man comic.
What?
Wait, shut up. Wait, he died on top of one?
Yeah.
What did he say before that? What did he say?
I just want to do this for like 10 more years.
Well, he's like 97. Did you say when he was 87, he was like, I just want to do this for 10 more years? And so you're like, oh man, that's how you die.
No.
It's like the Curse of the Golden Girls, like Onion headline.
What's the Curse of the Golden Girls?
You could probably put it together, right?
No, I'm asking a question. Why would I ask the question if I didn't know? What? I could put it together.
There was an Onion headline. It was like I can't remember the content. It was like someone dies, continuing a curse of the cast of Golden Girls. The joke is they were at an age where it would be fully appropriate statistically for them to be dying at the rate that they were. Ha ha. All right,
that's pretty funny. I like that.
Oh, okay.
So you were asking Spencer what he thought.
Yeah, what's your take? You said you listened to 13 episodes of this guy.
Yeah, I've been listening to him. I don't know if he might be the show is the guy like writes an essay essentially, and then he just reads the essay on the podcast, because it's not like there's not room for his just personal musings. It's all just straight like a script that he's wrote. But to the extent that it's like an essay, he like always has some sort of thesis statement or theme that he's like weaving through it, which is, I don't know. Sometimes it sounds like the most stupid, pretentious shit. Like, or sometimes he focuses on stuff. Like there's the one where he was focusing on like, I don't know. There's the guy whose wife fell down the stairs or he killed her or whatever. And then like the 911 calls, like she fell down the stairs, and the lady's like, how many stairs? And he was like, what? and then he was like, why did he say what? It's obvious he was hiding the truth. And it's like, well, that's a stupid question. It doesn't matter how many fucking stairs someone fell down. I would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I don't know.
Let me count.
Yeah, it's like that's not helpful.
It is though, because you want to know, should you send some cops or an ambulance
or a ladder?
I mean, both. Why don't you sort it out afterwards? My wife's dead or dying.
Kind of like he'll do kind of. I like when he does unsolved stuff and then he proposes a theory, because
that stuff's really impressive.
At his best, I like him because he reminds me of Agent Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks, because Dale Cooper rolls into your town and you're like, we can't find out who killed Laura Palmer, right? So you call the FBI when it's like the resources are exhausted, and in David Lynch's universe, the FBI is equivalent to like a weird like shamanic tier of civilization. But like Dale Cooper's like he's learned how to like, it's like if only for the sake of being lateral, because nothing else is working. It's like like he'll throw rocks at a tin can Like, and if it's sort of like, it's almost like flipping a coin, or like Asperger Detective will do something like, it's like in 1985, John Swanson went into the woods and never came back. People have been talking about this for quite a while, but the one thing that they can't figure out is whether or not his friend did it, or whether or not it was murder. But here's the thing. I'd like to look at the case through the lens of parabolic Turing's law. And you're like, what? And is it like, or he'll do, it's not always like nerdy. He'll be like, the interesting thing is that him going off the path reminds me of The Breakfast Club. There was a movie by John Hughes. John Hughes made movies in 1982 through 1997. And all of his movies tended to involve disparate groups of people forced to get along together and learning things. So like he goes on these like tears of like, he'll like these themes of like aviation or something. And then every once in a while, he'll just throw a fucking spark plug. And he, because his episodes are 3.5 hours long, he never listens to them again or edits them. So every once in a while, his
earlier episodes are pretty short, and I listen at 2x speed.
I don't know if I would. This is him just like kind of throwing a shoe. Like Cody recorded this because we were like, whoa.
The lack of technology will even be symbolized in their deaths by use of phone cord to create their bindings. So, if all of this crazy
this dude reached for leftover rice and then came back to the microphone.
Like, I don't know how much the mic picks up, but also there's just set up like a peel of half dry lips in there. Yeah. It's like, and I really, again, this is one of those situations where, like, you know, I don't want, I'm not punching down, punching sideways, punching up. I don't want to be punching, like, which is why I then add, I just hate this like feeling of like him getting like, you know, receiving in the wrong way that we were talking shit. And I just want him to know that, like, I mean, it's like, he's a part of our life. We love him. Like, he's like, we keep listening and listening and listening. I totally like, I see his haters and reviews and I can understand what they're saying, but I'm like, I hate them. Like, they're haters. And like, I like the guy, he's like so brazenly fucking like lateral. I also like really worry about him sometimes. Like did you hear one where he like started talking about, like, he went straight into like fucking numerology or something, where he was like,
no, I can't wait.
I paused it with Cody. I'm like, wait, is he rounding a bend? Because he usually will just go, so John Benet Ramsey was found in the train room. There have been 3 main functions of locomotion since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
So I want to look at this from a perspective of transportation. But he'll bring it back around to be like, we should look at this murder scene from the perspective of how much energy it takes to get from A to B. And consistently, the human race has a tendency to try to conserve as much energy.
Right.
This is a genetic imperative. If you expend more resources than you acquire by going where you're going. And then he'll work his way around. What he's really saying is like, no one that's looked at this crime scene has necessarily found the fingerprint that says exactly what happened. So why not just like spin around like a piñata game and kind of like stop and look at it from now this crazy perspective. And if you look at the John Benet Ramsey home crime scene, maybe from this perspective of like transportation, then he'll come up with this theory of like, Gordon Ramsay, not Gordon Ramsay. Who was it?
Yeah, Gordon Ramsay.
It was.
I think Gordon Ramsay did it. Yeah. He's the only member of the Ramsay clan that wasn't present in the house.
She burnt one of the cakes in an easy bake oven.
Every time I've seen Gordon Ramsay, he's become extremely intolerant when aspects of his environment are not up to snuff. He's a man who won't tolerate order or chaos. Gordon Ramsay, if he was in that house, would have killed John Benet Ramsey. It's a case that solves itself. But my point is like he will come back and I'll go like, God damn, I think he got it. I think that is fucking like really viable different take on the John Benet Ramsey thing. But then there was this one where it was like, it was like this family got murdered in a cabin, and it was like, I was like, maybe I'm not hearing him right, but I think he's like, he's detached and he's like floating off like a balloon. Like, cause he was like, the cabin number was 486. In 1986, the Steven Spielberg came out with something. It was like, so he starts talking about the movies. I'm trying, if I riff, then you guys will be like, oh, that's wrong. I'll be riffing. Like
what he really does is like, there's a guy he's accusing of making up a fake murderer, and he's like, and who is that murderer's name? Romano Romero. It's RR, which indicates he was trying to complete the cycle and give the person what they wanted.
Right.
And it's like, well,
yeah.
You just said that.
Right. And this one was like, he went from like the date of the murders or the address to like, or he went from the date of the murders to like the date of a movie release, or like back then how like taking airplanes somewhere was like a new thing, because the murders happened in like a cabin in the like 80s when domestic like resorts that people would take vacations to. So he referenced the movie Vacation. He references the movie Dirty Dancing, which did not take place in the 80s, but it was made in the 80s. But he references these movies that symbolize the fact that there was what the fuck am I? What's the? I lost a word. What?
A tendency.
Transition. You lost that word. Yeah, I'm old and drunk and dying. You're going to lose your words too. And you know what? The first word you're going to lose is me. So fuck you in advance. You're going to forget me, and you're going to miss me, and you won't know why, because you won't remember who I am.
Whoa.
It's called getting haunted. Should have finished my business. I don't know what I'm saying. I have no idea.
One of the guys.
That's why I like this guy.
The main thing is like his angle is about examining like the human mind, human tendencies, and he's like, so I don't know, like he did Serial and he did Adnan, and he like analyzed while like all the murder really closely replicates his oppressed lifestyle or something,
right.
And so his angle is like this all lines up from a human behavioral perspective, and a lot of these cases fall apart because you get hung up on the evidence, and really it's about matching whether or not like all of the emotional mental states
right.
that people lines up with the crime, because usually again people know each other when they commit crimes of passion, and so that usually indicates some sort of pattern of behavior playing out.
But
and
he
so
went
it
from
ends
the
up being
zeitgeist
insane but
of
crazy,
like,
but
yeah.
good.
I mean, well, that's the thing. It's like that's what's fascinating to me is like the very fine line, because like I remember when the internet first like kind of was blossoming, and one of my most I was particularly fascinated with with people who were forgive me, but clearly schizophrenic, like who at the, sort of like the people would just have like websites, there was no Tumblr, there was no like, it was just sort of like some of the first people into the World Wide Web to like, because it was like a place for like aberrant stuff. Like there was a lot of websites you would find that were just people going like, this is my story. Like it was 1997 when I realized that Harrison Ford was like trying to read my mind, and like their whole like story is like, and they're very like hyper, what do you call it? Hypergraphic. I don't know if that's the correct term, but like they just like at a time when the internet was all just like text, and it was like they like people with tragic mental illnesses, like watching them. I'm not, and you guys are like, are you calling this guy mentally ill? No, but I'm saying like the crazy, the fascinating thing to me has always been like, what are these lines, like what drop of chemical, what spark that could jump from one little part of your circuit board to another makes the big difference between someone who's valued at NASA for figuring out like how that a rocket should do this, and then some poor kid that like when they're 20 years old, they just realize their shoes are hot dogs and they just get expunged from society and they're homeless under a bridge because we don't respect like mental illness as regular illness, and like and like so when I'm listening to Asperger Detective, and he every once in a while, like kind of, he went from like a date in this cabin. So he had the zeitgeist of air travel within like the American culture of like how resorts were closing down because people were now, airlines were affordable. So people were going to Europe more. So there were places in America where cabins became like cheaper, and like the clientele became more impoverished. And so they got more run down. And so prices kept going down. And basically like he was making the case that like, he's like, there's these places that used to be fancy that became like the hotel in The Shining, but for regular customers who are just like these fucking thugs or whatever. I have no idea if he's like if that's based on any accurate data, but he was like, that was his kind of zeitgeist, or that's one of these places where this murder took place. So he's like, he's already got like this airplane thing going on in his head. And then it's like, so then it was like the murder's happening on this date. And then he's like, interestingly enough, that was the date of like, I don't know, Back to the Future's release or something. And it was like, Back to the Future is about Marty McFly, part of a younger generation who takes a car that's capable of flying, that takes like, the car couldn't fly in the first one. But the crazy one about that one is that he instead of coming back down, he just floats, and then he goes like, and the sequel to this movie or that movie happened at this time, and the what that got at the box office was $498 million. So you have to ask, was there a cabin with the address 498? And if there is, would there be another person there who's a suspect in the murder? And what do you know? And I was like, what? No, that's not what you usually do, Dale Cooper. You just got a lead about who to arrest from a fucking Jaws movie. Like that's that. And maybe I heard it wrong, but I was like, oh, is he every once in a while just like popping off the Hot Wheels track a little bit?
Yeah. There was another one. I think it was that same murder, but I can't remember. But he accuses the guy of realizing he wanted to commit the murder after he saw a movie, and he was like, "Oh," and he was like, "Why did he do it?" Because the movie was the ghosts of his past. It was played out when they stormed the Nazi castle. The Nazi castle was storing his poor memories or something. And it was like I don't even know. Maybe the facts of the case was that he watched this movie, but the guy was just asserting like this guy did it, and it was because he watched this movie, and this movie is the perfect analog for his life, and that's why he murdered. And it's like
this is all interactions, in human perception. I think we all are playing this sort of detective throughout the damn day, right? Because he is able to say, I don't get the answer. He knows the right answer. So the way he works backwards is super interesting, and that's to keep his ass personalized and on air. But in some respects, it's something that we all sort of do. Like, that person did not let me in that parking space because they saw what kind of car I drove, and they made a judgment about me because it's dirty today, and there is a little bit of
a Hulk like porn kind of like nerd rage kind of thrill I get too, because he's like he's like, you can tell like he's driven by like truly like a fetish for explanation. Like I feel like that he actually like even more than me, which is a lot. Like he just loves the feeling of explaining. It's like I love like that he becomes like when a dog puts its head out the window, it probably just doesn't even know. He's just like I'm gonna explain this, and that's why his cadence goes like up. Is it's like because this the thing, and like that's the sound you make when you're enlightening people. And he's just like it's like go baby go. Explain everything. Like don't even look back.
What is that?
Haters gonna hate. What
is that port doing with that adapter? He's always he talks about all this weird stuff. Like he's like this is a port and it needs an adapter. So who was the adapter? Adnan's religion. It plugged perfectly into the port of oppression or something like that. It was really like he goes really hard, but he says some stuff that like to me was like really, really profound or whatever. Like he talked about how like when a healthy person goes on vacation, they just realize that it's a change and they'll return to the normal. But when an unhealthy person goes on vacation, they're looking for an escape from their reality. And when they realize the escape isn't from the problems they actually brought to it, they get upset. And then when they return and things haven't changed, they lose their minds or whatever. And I was like, holy shit, like this guy's just saying truth. And I like never thought about it. It was like blowing my mind. He was saying like people say they drink to forget, but what they're actually doing is communing with the past. And I was like, oh damn, I feel sad now. It was because I smoke a lot of pot, and I was like, oh fuck. That's me, baby. But it was just like, that's the thing. But a lot of times they're like, you're just being an asshole right now. And other times it's like, oh man, my life. It's crazy.
Do you think we should, he lives in Los Angeles.
Let's go.
Well, I mean, but I don't know what this thing is. Like there's this thing I'm doing now. Like I had David Cummings on, I had the girls from Red Handed on. It's like this tradition of like, Dan Harmon with Willy Wonka reaches out with his golden tickets into the world and like spoils relationships that should really stay maybe consumer relationships. I don't know. Like
fuck that.
I'm like Kim Jong whatever in the fucking Seth Rogen movie that almost caused a nuclear war.
We should look this dude up because I want to know: A, does he have a criminology? Is he background? Is he a writer? All these things that you want to know. Because if he's like, I got to fill 3 hours, so of course I'm going to pontificate because I'm a writer. Then that's great. But if he's like just a layperson who is talking about these things, that's super fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely I would have on a heartbeat just because I think you guys listen to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History.
Yeah,
where does he live?
I don't listen to
somewhere.
I wonder if he lives like. Well, fuck it. I mean, I flew people out from London. I think that's basically like. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I'll wipe my ass with this money.
Wipe ass. Yeah,
wherever Dan Carlin is, like he would be an amazing
Carlin.
guy to have. It was really interesting. I listened to Dan Carlin and I was like, this guy sounds a lot like both Zach Galifianakis and Heath Ledger, and then it made me realize like why they cast Zach as the Joker in the Lego Batman movie. I was like somebody must have been like, oh, he sounds a little bit like, don't you think? Yeah, all right, whatever.
Yeah,
I think Dan Carlin sounds like George Carlin.
Yeah.
And if you just word of advice, because like I mean Dan Hardcore History has like I don't know. There's been a couple episodes where like Cody and I were both like I don't get it, like, and not in a good way. And then it's like you don't feel like pressured to like listen to that one. Skip around. I guarantee you'll find one that for whatever reason just gets its hooks in you from the first sentence, and there's no reason for you to not hold out for that. And like it'll. But it was like a very healthy thing because I was like, wait, history, it's true crime, but you're kind of learning stuff. Like,
and they have a ton of forensic evidence, so you can get deep into it. It's always good to sort of shout out to. That's why I asked you, what are you going to be involved in if you're not going to be, like we all were, sort of glued to the politics. This is a great answer. So.
No, I definitely, since I left Twitter, like there was, I did withdrawals and stuff like that. And I recently had like a fucking, like I had to delete the Reddit app again because I was like in there for a little bit. And then I just found myself for 3 hours just like, and I'm like, I deleted it for the good of mankind. But I got my Instagram, which is a thing where it's like, okay, if you make a thing that's a minute long, you can put it up here. If somebody underneath it says anything other than, I'm really happy that you're happy, you can be like, go fuck yourself. And if they say that's how you treat your fans, you can be like, yeah, that is, go fuck yourself again. And if they say like, that's fucked up, and 5 people come in and say, you're fucked up, I can go like, you're all fucked up, shut up, I don't care. Like, it doesn't feel like it's going to end up in TMZ as much. I don't mean to flatter myself. I'm probably not TMZ material anymore. And I say that with like fucking fingers crossed. Like, I just want to be like recoiled a little bit. Like,
it's cyclical. It's a weird thing of the old social media. You have to take.
But it's content driven. Like Instagram. Like, do you find that Instagram is like?
I find it content driven.
Oh,